The moment Karen tried to turn off the engine, nothing happened. She twisted the key, pushed buttons, even tried yanking the key out completely. The ATV continued purring like a mechanical cat, utterly indifferent to her growing panic. "Come on, you piece of junk," she hissed, slapping the handlebars. That's when she noticed the small screen on the dashboard lighting up with words that made her blood run cold. THEFTETCTD. Security PROTOCOL engaged. A mechanical click echoed from beneath the seat, followed by another from the handlebars. Karen tried to stand up and found herself stuck. Some kind of magnetic locks had engaged, pinning her to the seat like a very expensive mousetrap. "What the hell?" she shrieked, pulling frantically at her legs. The windbreaker was somehow caught too, and the more she struggled, the tighter everything seemed to get. The screen flickered again. Photo capture initiated. A flash of light temporarily blinded her, and Karen realized with mounting horror that the dashboard camera had just taken her picture. Not just any picture, a crystal clear shot of HOA President Karen Whitmore, caught red-handed on a stolen ATV, face twisted in panic and fury. Her phone buzzed, then buzzed again, and again. "Ma'am? Ma'am, are you all right over there?" Karen's head snapped up to see Bill, the storage facility's security guard, approaching with obvious concern. Behind him trailed 3 teenagers with phones out, already filming her predicament. "Everything's fine," Karen called out, her voice cracking. "Just having some technical difficulties." One of the teenagers snorted. "Yo, is that lady stuck to that four-wheeler?" "I am not stuck," Karen protested, then immediately proved herself wrong by struggling violently against the magnetic restraints. The ATV responded by playing what sounded suspiciously like circus music from hidden speakers. Bill scratched his head. "Ma'am, that's some fancy anti-theft system. Never seen anything like it. You want me to call the owner?" "No." Karen's voice reached a register she didn't know she possessed. "I mean, no thank you. I'll handle this myself." But her phone kept buzzing with notifications. Text messages, missed calls, emails, all from numbers she didn't recognize. With growing dread, she managed to check her phone and nearly fainted. Someone had posted a video to the neighborhood Facebook group titled HOA President Takes Midnight Joyride. The comments were already pouring in, and none of them were supportive. "Is this why our dues keep going up? Karen's having a midlife crisis." "Wait, isn't that the Hendersons' ATV? The one she's been trying to get them to hide?" The teenagers had moved closer, and she could hear one of them live streaming. "So there's this lady who apparently stole an ATV, and now she's literally trapped on it. The machine is playing carnival music and everything." Karen closed her eyes and tried to think. There had to be a way out of this that didn't involve complete social annihilation. She was HOA president, for crying out loud. She'd handled worse crises than this. Had she, though? The ATV's screen flickered with a new message. "Ohulianayar Coantes estimated arrival. 47 minutes." Karen Whitmore adjusted her perfectly pressed HOA windbreaker and squinted at the red ATV parked in the Hendersons' driveway. "Violation number 47 this month," she thought, pulling out her citation pad with the satisfaction of a hunter spotting prey. But as she approached the vehicle, something even better occurred to her. The keys dangled from the ignition like a gift from the neighborhood gods. Well, she murmured, glancing around the empty cul-de-sac. The Hendersons were clearly at work, and Mrs. Chen, across the street, was probably napping in front of her soap operas. Karen had been HOA president for 3 years, and she knew everyone's schedule better than they did. She tried everything with the Hendersons: citations, stern letters, even a formal hearing. But they kept parking that eyesore ATV in their driveway instead of hiding it in their garage like civilized people. The nerve of some residents. Didn't they understand that property values were at stake? Karen's manicured fingers hovered over the keys. Technically, she was just enforcing community standards. If she happened to relocate this violation to the HOA storage unit until the owners learned proper etiquette, well, that was just effective management. Mrs. Whitmore? Karen jumped, spinning around to find 10-year-old Tommy Martinez on his bicycle, staring at her with curious eyes. Oh, hello, Tommy. She forced her brightest smile. Just conducting an inspection. Run along now. Tommy shrugged and pedaled away, but Karen's heart hammered against her ribs. She needed to act fast before anyone else saw her. With one final glance around, she climbed onto the ATV. The engine roared to life, and Karen felt a surge of unexpected excitement. When was the last time she'd done something this spontaneous? The machine lurched forward as she figured out the controls, nearly taking out the Henderson's mailbox. Steady, Karen, she muttered, getting the hang of the steering. Just a quick trip to the storage unit. As she rumbled down Maple Street, wind whipping through her silver bob, Karen couldn't suppress a grin. Maybe she should have been a rebel in her youth, instead of following every rule to the letter. The feeling was intoxicating. She was so focused on her newfound freedom that she didn't notice the small camera mounted on the ATV's dashboard, its red recording light blinking steadily. Nor did she see the GPS tracker humming quietly beneath the seat, dutifully transmitting her location to Jake Henderson's smartphone 50 miles away at his construction site. The storage unit was only 2 miles away, but Karen took the long route, savoring every moment of her perfectly justified theft. Relocation, she corrected herself. By the time she pulled up to Unit 47B, she felt like a completely different person. Unfortunately for Karen, the ATV had other plans entirely. 47 minutes felt like 47 hours. By the time Jake Henderson's pickup truck roared into the storage facility parking lot, Karen had endured a parade of gawkers, 3 more live streamers, and a very awkward conversation with Bill about whether he should call the police. Jake stepped out of his truck, took one look at Karen trapped on his ATV, and burst into laughter. Well, I'll be damned. When I got the alert that someone had stolen my ride, I figured it was some punk kids. Never thought it'd be the HOA president herself. This is all a misunderstanding, Karen began, but Jake held up his hand. Save it, Mrs. Whitmore. I've got the whole thing recorded. He pulled out his phone and showed her the screen. GPS tracking, video footage, audio recording. This baby's got everything, including you explaining to little Tommy Martinez that you were just conducting an inspection. Karen's stomach dropped to her sensibly comfortable shoes. I was relocating a community violation. You were stealing my ATV because you didn't like where I parked it. Jake walked over to the control panel and pressed a series of buttons. The circus music stopped, and Karen felt the magnetic restraints release with a soft click. That's called theft, not community service. She stood up on shaky legs, her perfectly styled hair now resembling a bird's nest. Around them, the crowd had grown to include several other neighbors who'd driven over after seeing the Facebook posts. Jake, be reasonable, Karen said, forcing her voice into its usual authoritative tone. I think we can work something out. Perhaps if we just kept this between ourselves. Like you kept it between yourself when you tried to fine me $300 for visual pollution. Jake shook his head. Nah, I don't think so. Mrs. Chen stepped forward from the crowd, holding her phone. Karen dear, you've got about 2,000 views on this video already. I don't think keeping it quiet is really an option anymore. Karen looked around at the faces surrounding her, neighbors she'd cited, fined, and lectured for 3 years. Some looked angry, others amused, but none looked sympathetic. So what happens now? She asked quietly. Jake considered this. Well, I could press charges. Theft, trespassing, abuse of authority. He paused, watching her face pale. Or we could call an emergency HOA meeting and let the community decide what to do with their president. That's not how HOA governance works, Karen protested weakly. Maybe it's time it did, called out Mr. Peterson, whose garden gnome collection had been the subject of a heated citation battle last spring. As the crowd murmured agreement, Karen realized her perfectly ordered world was crumbling around her. But somewhere beneath the panic and humiliation, she felt something else, something that reminded her of those few minutes when she'd been riding the ATV with the wind in her hair. Freedom. Jake was watching her carefully. So what's it gonna be, Mrs. Whitmore? Face the music or face the charges? Karen straightened her windbreaker and lifted her chin. Schedule the meeting. As the crowd began to disperse, chattering excitedly about the upcoming community showdown, Karen couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The ATV's dashboard screen flickered one last time as Jake loaded it into his truck. Security a footage. Save YouTube C low P storage. Something told her that even if she survived the HOA meeting, her real problems were just getting started.